No game has made me rage quite like Warzone 2. But with the changes I mentioned in this video, I really do think it could be one of the best games ever made. Let's start with the most controversial first, and that is movement. Look at this psychopath. He heard the word movement and just started going crazy. And sure, I do miss slide canceling, but I don't think it's something that was absolutely necessary. But the sliding mechanic in this game is absolutely useless. If you press your slide button, you become a sitting duck. You can't shoot while you're sliding, and there's a little delay after sliding before you can actually shoot. And I think it would make a massive difference if they allowed us to shoot while we were sliding. That way there is a better way to challenge your enemies who are around a corner. Normally, you would want to try jumping around a corner to get the jump on your opponent, but if you try to jump in this game, you are severely penalized when it comes to ADS speed. I mean, just look at the difference when I just run around a corner in ADS and then when I run and jump around the corner into ADS. And this really just slows down the pacing of gunfights, and I think gunfights in this game would be greatly improved if we didn't have that ADS speed nerfed when we are jumping. Which leads me into sprinting while plating. As soon as you start applying armor plates in this game, you feel like you're walking through quicksand. And that's because we can't sprint while we're plating like we did in Warzone 1. And sprinting while plating is very important when you get in a sticky situation where you've been caught off guard, or in situations where you're trying to 1v2 or 1v3 an enemy team. And speaking of plates, why do we need to find a satchel in order to put on a third armor plate? I think this is just the most stupid change ever. We should not be making the amount of plates you can put on RNG. It just doesn't make sense to me. This alone would make the TTK feel a lot slower, which I think would be better for the game. And I do think that there should be a slower time to kill overall, because currently you just die way too fast. And since there's not very much movement in the game, the winner of every gunfight tends to lean towards the person who shot first, which tends to favor people who are just camping on roofs or just camping in general, waiting for someone to just walk by their sites. And when the game first came out, they had the buy stations absolutely perfect, but then they decided to go and change it the other day for some reason. When the game first came out, buy stations would consistently spawn in the same locations every match, so you could memorize where they're gonna be at, and it made everything feel a lot more consistent. But since the most recent update, the buy station spawns are now completely random, so they're just spawning wherever, and I just think that makes things a lot less consistent. I think we should revert that back to how it was. And in my opinion, the most annoying thing with these buy stations is that you can only buy one UAV in each buy station for the whole lobby. So what happens is the middle of the game feels really slow because not many people are able to pop a UAV and go push teams, so you're kind of left just wandering around the map aimlessly. And this also leads to people just stocking up on things like airstrikes or self-reses, which is very annoying. And I get it, they want to slow down the pacing of the game, but I think it's been slowed down just a little too much. I think a fair trade-off would be to allow each single team to buy one UAV from each buy station instead of just one UAV being in each buy station for the whole lobby. And speaking of the mid-game being extremely slow-paced, I think we could use some mobility items. Now, I thought Caldera was an absolutely terrible map, but the one good thing they did was add those redeploy balloons, which just sped up the pacing of each match so much, and just those balloons alone made that map somewhat enjoyable for me at times. And I think if we added those back to the game, or maybe an item like a grapple hook to the game, just something to move around the map more quickly than just cars, I think would add a lot of fun to the game and bring back that faster pace that we are looking for in a Call of Duty game. And the new looting system seems to be a hot topic in the Warzone community. You either love it or you hate it. I personally enjoy the new looting system, but after you kill an enemy, it's a bit inconsistent with some of the items dropping in their backpack, and then the guns are dropping on the ground with the ammo, and then you have trouble picking up the gun or the ammo off the ground. It's just very frustrating, and I think it's a simple fix. I think literally when you kill an enemy, all their loot should just drop in the backpack, and you just go through every item in their backpack through the menu. This just seems like an obvious change to me. I don't know why we didn't start out like that, but yeah. And there's so many great perks in Warzone 2 that it sucks we're just stuck to a single perk package, and that we don't don't have any options to customize our own package for Warzone like we do in multiplayer. This is such a simple change. Just please let us do it. Now let's talk about recoil patterns. So you can see me here shooting at this shipment container, and I'm going to shoot at it 2 different times. And what you're going to see is that the recoil patterns are not completely consistent with each other. Sure, the recoil pattern will be very similar, but it's not completely consistent. So it makes it so you can't really master a gun's recoil pattern. This is something that makes just 0 sense to me. I think each individual gun should have its own recoil pattern, and that recoil pattern should be consistent across the board so you can master that gun. Now let's talk about sniping. There's literally no reason to do it in Warzone 2. As I'm sure you're aware, you cannot one-shot anyone to the head with a sniper if they have 3 plates on. So obviously it's going to be a 2 or 3 shot kill, right? And the problem with that is that the time to kill is so fast that by the time you're trying to get your second sniper shot off, you're going to already be dead if the person has decent aim. So let's make snipers one shot again, please. I understand that dying to a sniper in one shot in Warzone is very, very frustrating, and I get very frustrated by it as well. But sniping is some of the most fun you can have in Call of Duty, and I don't understand why they can't one shot to the head. But if you're enjoying watching me complain, I complain about Warzone 2 all the time over on stream. I stream Monday through Saturday mornings over on Twitch. Link is at the top of the description. Feel free to come drop me a follow, say what's up in chat. I'd really appreciate it. Another thing that makes absolutely 0 sense is that we don't have a combat record. I've been playing Call of Duty since Call of Duty 4, and as far as I can remember, every single COD that I've played was released with a combat record. So the fact that we can't see our wins or our KD or anything is just absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that our wins and our kills and deaths, everything is not currently being tracked and going to be on the combat record when it comes out is just absolutely ridiculous. And it almost makes playing the game feel pointless in a way, since we know that our wins are not going to be counted when the combat record actually comes out. So just super frustrating. But how do you guys feel about the AI and strongholds in Warzone 2? For me personally, I think the AI and the strongholds in this game are one of the single most annoying things ever. Listen, this is a multiplayer game. I want to be playing against other real players. I don't want to be shooting AI on the map, okay? I understand it's a great way to get your loadout, but when you're fighting another team and then AI start flying down in the helicopter, it's just, it's But anyways, I know they won't take AI and strongholds out of the game, right? But what I think they should do is make it so after a team completes the stronghold, make it so AI don't continuously keep coming and spawning down into that area. It's just very annoying to deal with, especially in the end game. And I know the AI did get nerfed recently, but let's turn them down a notch further, because they're still really annoying and can kill you very fast. But that leads me into my next point, which is loadout drops. We should be allowed to buy a loadout drop at the buy station. I know I speak for a lot of people out there when I say this, but loadout drops and the ability to customize the weapons you get in game was one of the main selling points for me on Warzone. So the fact that that's pretty much just been taken away from us is very frustrating. I understand you can get them at the strongholds and you can get them at the second zone now, but in my opinion, it's not enough. Please just let us buy our loadouts. But how many of you guys have been in the middle of the gunfight when an enemy calls in an airstrike and you're trying to aim at the enemy like you can see here, and you can't see literally anything because the score streak overlay is literally in the middle of the screen? This is a simple fix. Just please move that overlay so it's not directly in the center of our crosshairs, okay? And the last point I want to make in this video is dev errors, as you guys saw at the start of the video, and PC performance. It's just absolutely atrocious. There's situations where I'm getting 130 or 140 FPS, which, don't get me wrong, is really good for FPS, but when you have a 3090 in your computer, you should be getting a lot more than that. This game just runs terribly.